I saw Shyne go on this kind of media run, and I was watching clips, and him being a prime minister of his hometown of Belize, that transition is just drastic to me, right? It's a completely different person from the person that was signed to Diddy back in, I think, 1998. So I wanted to watch the documentary. I was just very curious and, see, how that transition happened, what happened that night of the shooting, so on and so forth, and how did Shyne get to where he's at. And this documentary really did a great job of doing that with involving the right people. I want to get to my own level of being able to do documentaries like this. I think the Get Rich or Die Trying documentary was a step towards that. I want to be able to do documentaries like The Honorable Shyne. It's a very well done documentary, and I hope in the future I get a chance to do that about a certain artist, a story about their life. The main takeaways from it is very well executed. I felt like, what needed to be discussed was discussed. And of course, the main thing that people wanted to talk about was the shooting with Diddy involved. Now with everything that's going on with Diddy, obviously it puts a bigger light on that whole incident. And, they talked about it in length. They didn't just like skim over it. They didn't, shy away from the story. And that's what I like about Shyne too. Like in the interviews that he's done in the media runs, he hasn't shied away from any story. It's part of his past and he's willing to discuss it, which is great. He did mention how he wanted more of the prime minister section in this documentary, but to be honest with you, this is no disrespect to Shyne when I'm saying this. If it was mainly about him being prime minister, if the full let's just say the documentary I believe is about 2 hours long. I could be wrong. Yeah, it's roughly 2 hours long, about an hour and 43 minutes. That's how long Hulu says it is. So if the documentary was, an hour and 43 minutes, and about an hour of it was him about being a prime minister, not that many people would watch it, to be honest with you. There would be less interest because people like the drama, people like the history, people like when he was a rapper, a superstar. Not saying right now what he's doing is not interesting, because I'm very interested in it, just that whole transition that he's made. But, he even touched lightly on 50 and their little quick beef and how he was defending Irv Gotti and Mainly Murder Inc. and how at one point G-Unit tried to sign him, and he had a bidding war in prison. After the whole shooting, the first album came out. It did very good. And it made me actually go back and listen to his debut album. And it's a very good album. I think Shyne would have been one of the biggest artists out in hip-hop, period, had this never happened. The interesting thing in his story that I did not know was that Shyne gave his CD to Jay-Z and said, check it out, basically. Jay-Z took it and basically tossed it out of his car. Then Shyne ran into him a couple of months later somewhere, and he basically asked him, hey, did you get a chance to check out the CD? He said, yeah, it's all right. Like, he basically lied. He tossed it out, the car window, never listened to it, which is a shame. Jay-Z should have definitely checked it out, man. I think he messed up. But I think maybe at that time it was based on how they were telling the story. Shyne's like rhyme scheme and the way he was rapping wasn't really hitting the same. But Shyne was the only artist that I know that I can think of who had this insane bidding war for him without a single album or single released. It was just a demo tape of him rapping on random shit and him rapping in the streets. He would just rap to people, and the buzz was just that great just because of his voice. His voice got compared a lot to Biggie, but that's just the way Shyne talks. It's not something that he was trying to do. And, there's a bidding war where at one point Chris Lighty, Lear Cohen, and all these individuals offered him $3-4 million. But ultimately he ended up going with Diddy for $1 million because he was like, I want longevity and I want to learn from somebody that can, mentor me, blah, blah, blah. And, he saw Diddy as the guy to be the person that could take him to superstar status where he could learn from him. And ultimately that obviously didn't go the right way. Diddy did the snake shit that Diddy does, and he completely, this documentary is clears it up. He completely distanced himself from Shyne once this incident happened. Once Diddy beat his case at the end, they asked him about Shyne. How do you feel about blah, 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 Shyne? What do you got? He just ignored it and moved on. And he moved on with his life. Never paid Shyne anything. Diddy did what he did, right? He fucked someone's life up and just moved on and decided to go on with his ways. And, Shyne talks about how one of the most painful things about him being locked up was seeing all of his peers and people that he looked up to become even more successful, knowing that he could have been on that level. Yeah, and then when he got out, obviously the music wasn't hitting the same. The voice, the flow, he regrets, immediately coming out. I think he came out on that DJ Khaled record with Movado. He said he regrets doing those tracks because he had just gotten out. Let him kind of chill, figure out things again, deliver again, because I think he could have got back into rap, and his voice sounded way off, and everything just sounded way off. It just wasn't the same. And then that transitioned him to being a prime minister. Obviously, he was kicked out of America for quite some time, but eventually came back. But yeah, man, overall, an amazing documentary. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. There really wasn't anything that I disliked. There's a few things here and there that I felt could have been done better. But overall, amazing documentary. Definitely, if you have Hulu, check it out, The Honorable Shyne. So yeah, I just wanted to give a quick review on that. Speaking of Shyne, he recalls Diddy visiting him in prison. And he said he basically wanted to spit in his face. So let's play the clip.
But I felt he owed me something. And so it's like, he probably gave me like 50 racks. And I'm like, you can't be serious. Like, that's 10 years, 50 racks? Like, oh, man.
So that whole 10 years you were in jail, he didn't reach out to you at all?
He came to see me once, and I think I tried to spit in his face.
Okay.
In Rikers Island. So
that's probably why he didn't come back. Yeah.
I didn't want him to come back. I didn't even want him to come see me. I didn't even know he was coming to see me. They just brought me down in the lawyer's office, and.
Yeah. So the first time, basically the only time Diddy went to go see him, he tried to spit in Diddy's face because obviously he was still upset about the whole situation. It seemed like Diddy didn't give two fucks, distanced himself, and just said, "Whatever, man, done with this guy. I can go find another Shyne anytime I want to." That's basically what he did. He just moved on and found other artists to sign and doesn't care, man. I don't know how somebody can go on with their life like that, like knowing that they did something and then they have somebody else take the fall for it and then just move on with their life. Like if somebody took the fall for me 10 years and I was a billionaire, I would definitely hook them up with at least a minimum $5 million. Hey, you're out. Here's $5 million. I'll get you a house and a car. Hey, appreciate everything that you did. At least minimum, that's all Diddy could have done. But instead, he only gave him $50,000. That's nothing, man. That is a spit in the face again. But, as long as Shyne's moved on from it, obviously, as you can see, karma comes for full circle because Diddy is now locked up. Shyne is a free man, prospering out here. He might not be a billionaire, but he's prospering. He's doing his thing. He's at peace. He's helping a lot of people. There you go. Karma comes full circle. If there is any proof that karma exists, it's at this moment. Diddy got away with so many things, but now he's facing the exact same thing that Shyne was facing, that Tupac, that all these people that Diddy allegedly dragged down and did stuff to are facing. So unfortunate, man. But Shyne definitely signed, he signed a multi-million-dollar deal to put out his second album, and it sold 1 million copies while in prison, which is insane. It did like 170,000 first week. It debuted at like number 3. Him and Tupac were the only artists incarcerated at the time to have a top 10 album on the Billboard charts while being incarcerated. So he still had success. He still made millions regardless. One thing that you got to give Diddy, I guess, props, if this is any props to give, is he did let like Shyne go and do his own thing, after the whole shooting incident, because the debut album would have probably, and they highlight this in the documentary, his debut album probably would have never came out had Diddy not just kind of let the situation go, let him do his own thing. Anthony Wolf Jones, who is Diddy's bodyguard, close associate, who passed away, I think, in 2003, he was the one that advocated Diddy to say, hey, let him release his album, let him do his thing. Because I'm sure Diddy still would have probably held him and been like, fuck, he's not going to release his album, fuck him, period. Like, that probably would have been a possibility. But Diddy's responsible for a lot of great artists not being able to have their careers and do their thing. I'm going to put it 70% on Diddy's shoulder that Biggie and Pac died because of Diddy. Like 70% of it is because of Diddy, in my eyes. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying there's facts to that. There's not. Just based off what I've read, what I've seen, the documentary of me doing the $1 million hit on Tupac's life surrounding Diddy, a lot of it is Diddy's blame. He is a person that sucks the life out of people. will make you the fall guy no matter what. He doesn't care about nobody else but himself. It's clear as day. There's too many stories of this, too many situations of this to say that this is not just a coincidence, to say that this is just this is a one-time incident. He just didn't like Shyne. But no, there's too many stories of people saying this type of stuff, that Diddy snakes him, Diddy does this person bad, to say that that's not his character. That is his character. So shout out to Shyne, man. Great documentary, great press run, and we'll see what happens moving forward with him. I definitely am going to be keeping an eye out for him, because really interesting life story, man, trajectory.